Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 22 career mode, and today we're here for the 11th round of our MotoGP season at the Austrian Grand Prix. Now, if you didn't see the last one at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, I do recommend you go check that one out because it was actually a really good race. Some proper hard battling with the AI, hard but actually fair racing with the AI, which you do not get very often, so I really do recommend you go check that one out. But of course, in that episode, we did manage to get a P2 at our home Grand Prix, beating all of our championship rivals, which obviously is great for the championship. Johann Zarco got his first win of his MotoGP career, but again, he's not really any threat in the championship, so it wasn't too bad to lose that one to him. But coming into this round then, this could be quite interesting. The first time we're getting to the Austrian Grand Prix with the chicane, obviously in the MotoGP class. In the other categories, they've been pretty strong at this circuit, so I'm expecting a bit more of the same. If you remember back in Moto3, it was wet, and we dropped back through the order. In Moto2, I went for a ambitious pass on Jake Dixon that didn't quite go to plan. So I'm hoping this time I'll actually be able to pick up some decent points. Now, we are on a Ducati, so that's probably the best bike to be on when you get to the Austrian Grand Prix, to be fair. Although the KTM probably isn't too bad as well. But without any further ado then, let's head into the weekend, and I'll see you after free practice. So at the end of free practice then, you can see we're actually 4th position, almost a quarter of a second away from leader Bagnaia. Once again, Morbidelli performing in the practice sessions by being in 2nd position there, and Brad Binder in 3rd. So again, we are ahead of all of our championship rivals, but of course in practice that doesn't mean a hell of a lot because of course there is the whole qualifying session yet to go, then obviously there's the race, so you don't score any points for practice. It doesn't really matter that I'm ahead of the rivals, but it's always good to have a little bit more pace at this point. So we should go through to Q2 with that. I really hope we do anyway, but maybe the simulated times in the previous sessions might be a bit of a problem. It might cause us to actually drop out. I actually did struggle quite a bit to get that lap time, did a few laps, put on softs, power 3 in the end, and you can see obviously I'm still a quarter of a second almost away from Bagnaia. So Bagnaia's got some serious pace, but to be fair, everybody else is about 2 tenths off the back of him and Morbidelli, so it's not too bad. We're in the mix. We're in the mix in terms of the pace this weekend, it seems. But let's head into qualifying then. Hopefully we are through to Q2, but I guess we'll find out. So no, we didn't go through to Q2, unfortunately. You can see we are here in Q1, and once again it's a pretty strong Q1. We've got Bastianini, we've got Vinales, we've got our teammate Alex Marquez as well, so there's 3 Ducatis in here at a track where you'd expect the Ducati to really perform. We've got Morbidelli, Quartararo, but yeah, a fairly strong lineup here in Q1, which isn't ideal for me since I've not really got the pace, and the AI are very good at this circuit. I don't know if they'll be as good in the race. It might be one of those things where they are just better over the one lap, a bit like they were at Silverstone. But even still, we've got to try and get through Q1 here, which is a lot easier said than done. Obviously, some weekends it's quite easy, but I've already done a soft power 3 lap, and that was good enough for about 16th, I think, on the combined times. So, yeah, I've got to improve on what I've done before. There's not any free lap time here. It's usually a soft tyres, their free lap time, or power mode 3, that's free lap time, but on this occasion, I've actually already pulled the rabbit out of the bag with those, because I was about a second off the time previously. So I've not got anything to fall back on. So here we are then, up towards the line. What's this time going to be? 29.1. So I don't think that's actually going to be enough. I don't know if that's quicker than what we did in free practice or not, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure they were in the 28s in free practice at AI. So that's not going to be enough. I mean, I've just gone on the green there. I've not lost my lap. Which is very bizarre because I definitely gained a lot of time from that. So I'm not going to complete this one because it's not really fair. But that's worth noting. At zone 1 you can go on the green and it seems like you don't gain any. You don't get a warning or anything. So there we are then, I've saved enough fuel to go for one more lap on this set of tyres. You can see we've dropped down to 3rd place now, so we do need to improve our time. So this lap was actually a lot worse. You can see I'm 7 tenths down, so to be honest, the 29.1 was probably a good lap for me. And we've run out of fuel as we cross the line there, so we have to go back to the pits, refill. But I don't know if we're going to have enough time to actually get back out onto the track and do another lap. So this is it then, last chance saloon. You can see we've got 13 seconds on the clock. We just got out for one more lap. This better be something special. So the session just ended there for me because I accidentally went on the green, invalidated my lap because the time had already ended. It just ends the session automatically for you. So that's it then. We are not starting in a very good position in the Austrian Grand Prix. In fairness, I actually wasn't under my time anyway, so I don't think it would have been enough to get us through. But you can see we're a decent chunk off the top time, 3 tenths off of Enea Bastianini. And in fairness, that's a very similar gap to what we had in free practice as well. You can see the lap time is pretty similar from Bastianini. I'm pretty sure Bagnaia also did a 28.8. So it just seems like we haven't got the pace here. I don't know where we're losing out, to be completely honest. I was losing out to my own time quite a lot in Sector 1, so I must have just done a really good Sector 1 on the first lap, and maybe the rest of the lap wasn't so good, but I don't know, we just didn't seem to have any kind of pace at all. It's very, very bizarre. You don't get this very often. Now, I do seem to remember that we did struggle a little bit at the circuit in the other classes, so maybe it is just that AI are very good at this circuit. I'm not too sure, but we're going to be starting down at 16th place on the grid. Again, that's pretty much where we put ourselves combined times, so that's basically two times we've put ourselves 16th, so it seems to be roughly our actual pace. So yeah, it's going to be a tough race, I reckon. So then here we are down on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. We've got Bagnaia on pole, looking at Brad Binder in second position. So kind of like what we've seen in real life so far this year, those two being very, very fast. Bastianini here in 11th place, and of course we are going to be down in 16th when it swaps to us. Here we are down in 16th place on the grid. So I don't really know what my game plan is for this one. Obviously Power Mode 3 maybe will be quite helpful on some of these straights, but I just feel like we're going to struggle. I think we're quite poor in Sector 1, maybe the last sector as well. It's a difficult track because on paper we should be quicker, because the AI's general weakness on this game is the braking zones, although in fairness it is worse at some tracks than others, so some tracks actually trained quite well, so you don't gain too much on them. But I think also the fact that this game is very hard to brake heavily on, it's really easy to make a mistake, I think that also feeds into it a little bit. It's very difficult to be consistent on the brakes just because of the way the physics work. If you remember back to Motegi, for example, in our Moto2 season, I struggled a hell of a lot getting that bike stopped. So in terms of tyres, I think we're going to have to go with... Well, we're being offered a soft front, so I think I'll go with that one. I'll probably go soft front, maybe medium rear. I've noticed that you get recommended the soft front quite a lot, and there was recently a patch that basically just put a Buy MotoGP 23 button on the main menu. But I think maybe they also changed it so that you keep getting recommended the soft tyre, because I think maybe Milestone have also figured out that if you put a softer tyre on the front, it kind of balances out the bike a lot more. So maybe that's why they're recommending it to people, so that you actually use it. It also seems to last quite well on the front as well, whereas I don't think I was ever really recommended a soft front much before in this game. Maybe I was, but I've noticed it a lot more lately at least. But I've not really got anything else to say, so we may as well get straight into the race and just pray that we can move forward, because it's 0 points if we finish here.
Bagnaia triggered the whole shot device on his Ducati, ready to start from pole position. Just a few more moments and the Grand Prix will begin.
So we've got Bagnaia on pole then, Binder second as we established before, but it's Aleix in third place then. So here we are, the lights are on, waiting for them to get here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Rin's got some massive spinning up off the line then. It's been a pretty good start for us. We're going to dive to the outside towards the first corner. You can see Aleix has got swapped into the pack because he's right in front of us now. We're trying to go around the outside. We're going to get squeezed out a little bit here. Bit of contact with Jean Zarco, and there Bastianini and Quartararo are there as well. Can we try to go around the outside into the chicane, around the outside of Aleix? So Aleix is already behind us despite starting on the front row. So we're up to 7th place. It's been a pretty decent start. Aleix back up the inside, so we're down to 8th. We've back past Aleix, back past Marquez, back past Marini. Well, not back past Marini, past Marini, past Martin as well. So we're up into P4 already. Jorge Martin does attack us here. We're using a bit of power 3 out of here. We've got back in front of Jorge Martin, and we're up to 4th place. What a start it's been. Taking advantage of the AI where they're weak, so maybe it isn't the Sector 1 that they're strong. And up the inside we go of Bezzecchi now, so once again, obviously, we have got the strength on the brakes. Bezzecchi turns into us a little bit there. I had to pick the bike up a bit. Fortunately, we both stayed on, so it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. But Bagnaia leads them once again, just like he did in Silverstone. Binder in second position, so it does seem that Bagnaia has started to perform a little bit in the last couple of races. And again, I've not edited him at all. This is what he should have been doing the whole time. We've been bashed out the way by Bezzecchi there. We've managed to keep the 3rd place for now. If we can try and go with these two in front, we've actually got the potential to get a really good finishing position. But I tell you what, obviously we've used a bit of Power Mode 3, we've kind of cheesed it slightly off the line, but the AI were just really slow out of some of the corners and into some of them as well. We've started breaking them loads. So I'm just trying to make the most of my advantage over the AI. But you can see sometimes you just get a bit of luck on the first lap, and you can make up loads of positions. So turn 1 does seem to be a weakness for them. They're going a little bit too hot and costing themselves a bit of time as we go towards the chicane then. I thought about a move on Brad Binder, but for now we're not really close enough. Although through the chicane we close up a lot, so it does actually seem like Sector 1 is maybe my strong point. I was thinking it was the perhaps the weak point, but it actually does seem that maybe we're a bit stronger in Sector 1 than the AI. Oh no! You cannot ride this! Bagnaia's down again! Unbelievable! That's 3 races in a row. Again, guys, I have not scripted this at all. This is just how his AI is behaving in the game. I mean, to be fair, he might have a stat in the game that makes him crash more because of what happened in 2022 in real life. But I did see one of you in the comments below said in the last video it's pretty realistic that he's crashed again. And once again, Bagnaia has crashed out of a race lead. It's unbelievable to see this happen again. But Brad Binder now takes the lead of the race. We're second place. It put me off so much that I ran wide, but fortunately it didn't allow Bezzecchi through. But all of a sudden, I've gone from being in 16th place, really, off the start, looking at scoring no points. And now we're fighting Brad Binder for a race win here. I cannot believe it. I know I've had some good starts from the back of the grid before, but this one was something a bit different because it wasn't all done on the run into turn 1. I was passing them through lots of different corners on the first lap. It just seemed like the AI was so weak. We've just done the fastest lap of the race as well. I've just had a little look at the fuel. I've seen them with 0.5 underneath. So you've probably noticed in the last couple of races, I've been using the fuel a lot more. I think that's probably because I've been struggling at the last few tracks a little bit and had to use a bit of Power 3 to make up for it. So we are definitely playing with the margins here. And of course, the more I play the game as well, because obviously I stayed away from the game for quite a while. Well, I didn't stay away from it, but I didn't play the career mode for quite a while. Took a bit of a break from it. So I've been back to it for a while now. I'm starting to pick up the tricks a little bit more of the game once again, like I used to have back in the day. But I think from this sector onwards, it's not really possible for me to pull a pass on Binder. And wow, Bezzecchi's looking close. I'm just getting some flashbacks to Assen with Bezzecchi riding that close to the back of me. I feel like there's going to be contact eventually. I know there's been a little bit before, but I feel like more substantial contact is on its way. And it might allow Binder to escape if that does happen. But once again, so far, it does seem that the AI do not have their qualifying pace in the race. So my lap times are probably enough to keep up with them in the race. Although as I say that, I'm now under attack from Bezzecchi, and you can see Binder has put a decent gap on us, so we are going to have to push a bit on this lap. But here comes Bezzecchi. He's got the drive at the last corner. Morbidelli does fastest lap of the race, 29.6. So again, that's probably quite slow compared to what they were doing in qualifying. Bezzecchi tries to get us at the inside through turn 1, but he wasn't able to do so. But it's allowing Brad Binder just to stretch away ever so slightly. And if he can keep that gap, which I think he sort of has done through this first sector, I think Binder might start to check out now because I'm just not fast enough around the rest of the track to keep up with him. Oh, no! No, Bezzecchi's knocked us off! Come on, no! Well, I feel like more substantial contact is on its way. Oh, it's unbelievable. We were having such a good race. We'd come back through the pack, and we're back down to 17th, so we're back down to virtually where we started the race. Oh, come on. We can't get any luck at all. And our teammate Alex Marquez is in 18th place, so this is a terrible race for Cassini. We've completely messed up that corner. That's going to allow Marquez through. But Marquez has got the fastest lap at least, but wow. What? I can't believe it. Bezzecchi's just wiped us out in a race that was looking so good for us as well. We didn't have the pace in qualifying. We'd had a fantastic start to the race. We're about halfway through, so we perhaps were going to start slipping back a little, but Bezzecchi, who ran out of patience, he's been impatient this whole race. He's ran out, and unfortunately, my luck's gone with him. We're actually in last place in this race now, I've just realised as well, so there's actually quite a few riders have retired. I think Bagnaia's probably retired. I imagine Bezzecchi's retired. I was about to say I think we've picked up damage, but I haven't been told, but I've just looked and seen that I'm missing a right wing, so it does seem like it doesn't actually tell you when you pick up damage anymore. It did used to in the older games, but I think we're going to probably struggle to go forward from now because the bike is feeling horrendous. I thought it felt bad, but I didn't know if it was a placebo, but there is a wing missing, so that probably does explain the lack of performance on the brakes, which is pretty much my only advantage over the AI. So I think we're just going to drop back from now. So I think it would have got really tasty at the front because we wouldn't have had the pace. We would have been dropping backwards. But obviously we haven't had the privilege to experience that one. Although Morbidelli's out to third place. Morbidelli has somehow got into the top 3. I don't know how the hell that's happened. There must have been some other carnage behind. He's dropped out behind Marquez again. But Morbidelli once again at the front of the race, just like in Austin. So here we are then on the final lap. You can see the pack has just pulled away from me. I'm just trying to keep the pace up somewhat so that in case there's a crash in front I could capitalise. Because if there was a 3-rider pile-up, we'd actually be into the points. And with the pack being this close, it's certainly possible that that could happen. And you can see they are battling a little bit. I've noticed that you don't seem to get a track limits warning for that piece of green either. So it does seem like the track limits are a bit broken at this circuit, which is obviously a shame. Obviously I've not been exploiting it, but I have made that little mistake twice. I feel like I should have picked up a couple of track limits warnings for that. Alex Marquez, though, has actually been a pretty good teammate this race because he's overtaken both Bastianini and Jack Miller and put them outside the points. So, two of my biggest championship rivals not scoring with me here. And Morbidelli has got back ahead of Marquez, so Marquez also scoring a few less points. So this actually has worked out quite well, all things considered. But I do still feel a bit robbed because I feel like we could have had a good result here had Bezzecchi not been so reckless. Although I think Bezzecchi, I guess, has had his comeuppance by being out of the race, I guess. But here we are then, up towards the line. It's going to be a miserable 18th place at the Red Bull Ring. The team aren't going to be happy with that one, but it wasn't exactly my fault. Well, considering that this is supposed to be the Ducati circuit, the Ducatis haven't exactly done well, have they? Brad Binder wins the race then ahead of Jorge Martin, I guess, in fairness, the only good Ducati there in second place. Franco Morbidelli on the Yamaha at Austria has got third place. Marc Marquez in fourth, Fabio Quartararo in fifth. So two Yamahas in the top five at probably one of their worst tracks. What a strange race it has been. Maverick Vinales then has ended up in sixth position. Johan Zarco in seventh. Aleix Suagro in eighth. Takaki Nakagami in 9th, Miguel Oliveira 10th, 11th for Raul Fernandez, so both RNF Aprilias scoring decent points there, 12th for Alex Rins, 13th for Pol Espargaro, 14th for my teammate Alex Marquez, 15th for Jean Mir, so Marquez actually got Mir as well at the end of that race, so he was on a bit of a charge. I wonder whether he must have been knocked off at some point in the race as well, because it did seem very strange that he was that far down the order. So that was obviously the point scorers, and of course it was Bastianini, Jack Miller, myself, and then obviously nobody else behind finished. So we had both VR46 Ducatis out of the race, Francesco Bagnaia and also Augusto Fernandez. So in terms of the championship then, you can see the damage hasn't actually been too bad, with 17 points cleared now of Marc Marquez in second place. Of course, Miller and Bastianini didn't score at all. Not sure how many points Marquez will have gained back on us there, but we've lost 11 out of our championship lead. Obviously, we had 28 over Miller, we now only have 17. Obviously, I know the rider behind us changed, but I guess that's the gap that we've got to look at. Brad Binder then moves up to 5th position, putting himself tied on points with Marco Bezzecchi. Zarco moves down 1, Martin moves up 3, and Quartararo, despite actually getting in the top 5, moves down 2. As for the Teams Championship then, that actually has done us quite a bit of harm because effectively we no-scored. Obviously Alex Marquez picked up 2, but that was it for our whole team. So that's allowed Red Bull KTM Factory Racing with obviously Brad Binder scoring 25, close up to us, only 7 points behind us now. Prima Pramac move up to 3rd with another good result from Jorge Martin in 2nd position in that race then. The Catalanova moved down to 4th and Mooney VR46 dropped down to 5th. Finally, onto the Constructors' Championship then. Another 5 points goes away from Ducati, so they've now lost 15 points over the whole season. And we are only about halfway through, so we're on course to maybe lose 30 over the whole year. But you can see the gap is pretty big, 91 points ahead of KTM, who, in fairness, have had a very good season with both Binder and Miller so far. Honda on 131 in 3rd place. Yamaha actually moved back up to 4th ahead of Aprilia now, so the battle for 4th of the Constructors' Championship is pretty close, but it's about the closest one to be fair. Although in fairness, Honda are not too far ahead of Yamaha and Aprilia, and they're not too far behind of KTM either, so there could still be some shake-ups yet, but I think it is mainly going to be the battle for 4th now to watch in the Constructors. With that race done now then, I think we're going to go and have a little look at the replay to see what happened with Bezzecchi, because obviously I don't really know what happened. I just got wiped out. I don't know what he was doing. And also to see if Marini was involved in that, because I think he was potentially, or to see what chaos happened behind, because I do feel like there were more riders involved in that one. Might look at what happened to Bagnaia as well, obviously that did happen on the previous lap. And then after we've looked at that, we'll head back to the Career Hub, see what we've got from this weekend, and then we can end off the episode. So this is what happened to Pecco Bagnaia then. He's leading, of course, going into turn 3, and he just loses the front. Oh, it is really unfortunate. It's a very, very strange crash. And an awkward ragdoll animation from him there. I guess that's because he's retiring from the race. Yeah, obviously he did retire after that incident. It was really late in the corner actually. It was almost as if like when he picked up the throttle, I think he was too wide. He just missed the apex completely, and I think his AI has grabbed the brakes to try and stay on the circuit. Potentially. Because the front just locks around out here, and obviously then it just folds and down he goes. So another mistake from Bagnaia. I actually can't believe it. It's like you actually would think that this was scripted. I think there actually must be something in the game that causes him to crash. I know there is something, like there is like a mistakes value in the game, so I think maybe Bagnaia's is quite high, but I've not altered it from whatever it was in the base game. So yeah, Bagnaia makes another mistake from the lead. So we're here with Marco Bezzecchi once again, and it's actually worse than I thought. Just watch this. Just watch what Bezzecchi actually does. He's absolutely nowhere near me into this corner. and he just rides into me. I don't know what happened there. And it seems to just swap virtually immediately to his teammate, so he basically retired straight away. We'll go back to Bezzecchi. We'll just slow it down. And you can see he's doing the same kind of thing as Bagnaia, but he just loses the front really early. Like, he's lost the front at, like, this point, pretty much. So I guess he just kind of crashed into me. Like, he'd already sort of crashed and then just collected me with him, but that's a weird AI behaviour. I mean, he's not too far here, but I'd outbrake myself, admittedly. So I thought, to be honest, I'd be safe. I thought maybe he'd ram it up the inside because I'd ran wide, but he actually just crashes into me completely. Like, I wasn't expecting him at this point because I couldn't already see him. I knew he wasn't alongside me, but he just completely wiped me out from behind. There was nothing I could do. That was, yeah, a really unfortunate incident. If we swap to Marini, to be fair, this is difficult. Very lucky for Martin and Marquez behind, actually. And Morbidelli, look at Morbidelli. His front is gone. Like, look how, like, his front is like 90 degrees. He's lost the front there, and man just carries on like nothing happened. It's really, really does show up this game sometimes. But yeah, you can see Martin and Marquez are very lucky to get through. And unfortunately, Marini's just, he's got Morbidelli on his inside. That's his problem. And you're at so much lean here, you can't just brake because you get the same problem that obviously Bagnaia and Bezzecchi both had. So he has no choice but to go into the bike, and then obviously that's him down. I don't know if anybody else was involved in it. I don't think they were, but just rather unfortunate incident. Well, of course, we failed both objectives, qualifying and the race, so we lose 5,600, which takes us down to 294,800. Although, in fairness, we do get 200 credits, so we still get paid for our hard day's work there, which takes us to 808,988 credits. So here we are then, back in the career hub, and we will advance forward to the next race, which is actually the Catalan Grand Prix, of course, in a very different part of the calendar for this season. Usually we've long gone past the Catalan Grand Prix. We've got that with the double header of Misano straight away afterwards, so it's replaced Aragon's spot in the calendar, really. It used to obviously be the Aragon-Misano or Misano-Aragon sort of back-to-back, depending on which way round it was that year. But this time, of course, we've got the Catalan Grand Prix, but of course that is for the next episode. And with nothing else to do here then in the career hub, that pretty much brings this episode to a close. So I hope you guys did enjoy that one. I tried to salvage the race for you. I tried to sort of keep commentating after the incident, but of course it was pretty much all over when Bezzecchi took us out. But in fairness, it was a pretty decent race. We didn't start off obviously in a good position on the grid, but we did manage to fight our way through. We had a good battle at the front. Obviously we saw Bagnaia go down for the lead. That was pretty dramatic. Also slightly humorous that it's now 3 races in a row that he's done the same thing. Obviously he wasn't in the lead at the Kazakhstan Grand Prix, but he crashed out of the lead in Silverstone. He's crashed out of the lead here in Austria, and of course he crashed out of about 10th place in Kazakhstan. So it's not been a great few races for Bagnaia. Obviously then Bezzecchi completely wipes us out, ruins our chance, but in fairness, we didn't do too bad from it with both of our main championship rivals, Miller and Bastianini, being outside the points as well. We've done quite well. We've got quite lucky this season. I did see one of you in the last episode saying that we're basically getting consistent podiums. This season I'm the only one that's really doing that, and I think, to be fair, that is what it is. I'm just pretty consistent, and we've got quite lucky as well. Some of my bad days have also been bad days for the AI, and then also sort of the opposite. My good days have been bad days for the AI, so I have got quite lucky with how it's played out, but like you were saying, you just need to get on the podium consistently, and it does keep you in the championship hunt. But like I said, guys, I hope you did enjoy that one. I hope you guys are all staying safe. I'll see you in the next one.